Okay, let's unpack this unsettling feeling, this almost palpable sense of dread that permeates certain stories. It's especially for you if you're drawn to the edges of what we know. Today, we're diving deep into that feeling as we debate what's happening. We want to explore what makes this particular vision of like an unraveling so resonant.
Exactly. And for this debate, we're focusing on 3 core elements that the film, throws at us. First, we'll look at that creeping unease, the existential angst that bubbles up when something completely inexplicable starts to tear apart the fabric of everyday life.
Right.
Then we're going to dissect the provocative idea of nature itself as an active force, almost seeking a reckoning, And finally, we'll consider the vital role of human connection when faced with overwhelming catastrophe. So, are you ready to plunge in?
Absolutely. Let's start with that initial wave of disorientation the film throws at you. Those sudden, inexplicable suicides in Central Park. It's not just the horror of the act itself, is it? It's the utter lack of reason behind it.
Yeah. Exactly. There's no why, no how that makes any immediate sense.
Not at all.
That's what's so effective. It bypasses our usual threat assessment. We understand war. We understand disease to a degree. But this absence of a clear enemy or motive plants a seed of profound existential dread, doesn't it?
It really does. It makes you, the viewer, along with the characters, sort of question the very foundations of your reality. We see Elliot Moore, played by Mark Wahlberg, desperately trying to apply logic to the illogical. He's a science teacher, for goodness sake. He's trained to find explanations.
Right. He should be able to figure this out.
But here, his rational framework just crumbles. It's like watching someone trying to grasp smoke,
And that's where Shyamalan masterfully employs what's been called horror ambiental or environmental horror. The threat isn't a monster you can fight. It's an invisible presence woven into the very environment around the characters.
Yeah, it's in the air, in the breeze.
Yeah.
It's inescapable because it's everywhere.
Exactly.
I remember those moments vividly. A stretch of complete silence, almost unnerving in itself, suddenly broken by the rustling of leaves or the sound of the wind. Usually those are comforting sounds, right?
Totally. Normally you wouldn't think twice.
But in this context, they become almost sinister, like nature itself is. Breathing down their necks. That subtle use of sound really cranks up the paranoia for you.
Which neatly brings us to our second point, nature as a retaliatory force. Now, what's particularly striking here, and perhaps what makes the film so unsettling for you to consider, is that this isn't your typical disaster movie where the crisis stems from a human-made error, a nuclear meltdown, or a runaway experiment, something like that.
No, it's a much more primal fear that the film taps into. The idea that nature itself, the entity we often think of as passive or, benign, is actively responding to our destructive presence.
Right. The hypothesis presented is that plants are releasing toxins as a defense mechanism.
Precisely. It's a biological response, amplified to a terrifying scale, directly impacting human neurochemistry and leading to these mass suicides.
It completely flips the script on our understanding of the natural world, doesn't it? It's no longer just the backdrop to our drama. It becomes an active player capable of inflicting punishment. This firmly places the film within the eco-thriller genre for you.
It makes you think, doesn't it? The film posits that the Earth has its own intrinsic defense mechanisms, almost like an organism protecting itself from a harmful invader, which, in this scenario, is us.
Yeah, it's a humbling thought.
Definitely. Forcing you to reconsider our place in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely. The film constantly emphasizes our growing detachment from the environment. Think about those lingering shots of abandoned towns, empty highways. They're potent visual representations of our self-imposed isolation from the natural world, the very thing that, sustains us.
And the irony isn't lost on you that the character's only hope for survival is to flee those urban centers, to return to a more rural existence, to sort of reconnect with the land.
Right, get away from the concentrated populations.
It's a pretty clear message about where true harmony might lie, wouldn't you say?
It is. But even amidst this bleak and terrifying premise, the film offers you a glimmer of hope, and that lies in the resilience of human bonds. Against this backdrop of potential annihilation, the fundamental need for connection and the inherent value of human life are explored.
The relationship between Ellie and Alma is central to this, isn't it? At the beginning, you see a marriage that's clearly strained. Communication has, broken down.
Yeah, things aren't great between them.
But as the world around them descends into chaos, their connection deepens in unexpected ways.
Exactly. It's as if the external threat strips away the superficial layers of their relationship, forcing them to rely on each other on a much more fundamental level. Their love and empathy become crucial not just for their emotional survival, but perhaps the film suggests for survival in a broader sense. What do you make of that?
It makes you consider how crisis can act as a crucible, forging stronger bonds between people. The film highlights this interesting duality. Fear can certainly drive us apart, leading to suspicion and isolation.
For sure. Panic sets in.
But it can also create a powerful need for mutual support, for clinging to those we care about most in the face of the unknown.
And that culminating scene where Elliot and Alma choose to face their uncertain future together, hand in hand, despite not knowing what tomorrow holds, is so powerful for you as a viewer.
It really is.
It encapsulates this idea that life, however fragile, gains its true meaning and strength when it's shared.
We also can't forget the character of Jess, the young orphan girl. Her presence acts as a potent symbol of innocence, of what needs protecting in such a brutal world.
Yeah, she really grounds it in that way.
She represents the future, the generations to come who will inherit whatever is left of the planet.
And the care that Elliot and Alma show towards Jess underscores this responsibility that extends beyond our immediate relationships to encompass the future of humanity and, implicitly, the planet itself. The film seems to suggest that protecting innocence is inextricably linked to caring for the world we inhabit. It's a powerful connection for you to consider.
So ultimately, El Fin de los Tiempos throws down a pretty stark warning for you about the potential consequences of ignoring the signals that our environment might be sending us. The anguish that the characters experience resonates, I think, with our own anxieties about the very real ecological challenges we face.
Definitely. But it's not all doom and gloom, is it? The film also offers you a vital takeaway, that in human connections, in love...
And for you, our fellow science fiction enthusiasts, consider this. In a genre that often grapples with destruction and societal collapse, what does this particular vision, where nature itself becomes the antagonist, tell us about our anxieties regarding our place in the natural world?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And what enduring role do our most intimate human connections play when everything else is stripped away? A sobering thought for a potentially uncertain future.